Okay, so today we had the live show, and discussion came up that kind of reminded me of my old channel. If you guys remember the old channel, it was on for a couple months, and it was basically the channel that I was going to be doing like off videos that didn't have to do with tutorials or anything like that. And in the interest of evolving the channel into everything that I do and want to discuss, and if I think it's a good enough conversation to have with you guys, I figure, hey, let's make a video. So here I am making the video, and in the live show on Mini Wargaming that I do every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time or 8 p.m. Eastern, the question came up multiple times from a couple different people about how to fight against painting fatigue. And on my other channel, I did that video before, just talking about the ways that I do it and wondering how other people do it. And I think a lot of people missed out on that. There was only a couple thousand subscribers on the other channel, whereas here now it's grown, very, very broad audience we have. So what I wanted to do is to have that conversation again, but get it more exposure and feedback from you guys. So painting fatigue, what is it? Basically, if you've ever painted an army and you get to that point to where you're like, I am so tired of painting, fill in the blank with your army or whatever model you have a mass of, and you kind of lose the motivation, maybe more than you had in the beginning when you started the army. There's ways to fight it. There's ways that, people can stay just constantly painting. Some of it's just simple things like listening to music while you paint. And like for me, that works. I'll listen to some kind of electronica and it's just robotic work and a soundtrack to go with that kind of work. Because it's going to be repetition. There's not a lot of artsy stuff happening. It's, hey, I need to paint this guy and 50 other ones just like him painted the same way. It's easy to lose what's ever fun about it. It's kind of like a video game or something where you would only have one button that you're just constantly pressing. You'd get bored of that, and that's what happens when we paint. So how do you fight that? I listen to music. My buddies have given me different things that they've done. I listen to music. Some people listen to audiobooks. Also, your work area makes a big difference. If you have a full army sitting in front of you, unpainted, even if you paint 10 guys out of this, if you got an army covering your desk, if you take 10 guys out and you paint them and you're like, wow, I feel good, just seeing, for me anyway, seeing the rest of them unpainted would just make me kind of feel like, wow, I didn't really put a dent into it. It's no good. Like, it doesn't feel, it would be really hard for me to visualize, because I'm a visual person. It'd be nice to have the 10 models at the beginning of the day unpainted, and then at the end of the day have them well on their way to being almost done, and if not finishing them that day. And just having them on the desk and then seeing at the end of the day, cool, I made progress on them. It's a lot more satisfying to see that than to have the whole army sitting out, especially if you don't intend on painting the whole army or doing a certain step of the build that day. Like if you're priming them all, cool, have all your models out. What are you working on at the time? You're planning on painting a certain amount. All the ones you're not working on for that army, put them away. Out of sight. You don't have to worry about them. Just put them somewhere off your desk so it's not like a reminder that this is all the other stuff that I have to finish. Baby steps, do a couple at a time, work those, and then when they're done, put them up there. Display the ones that you've finished, by all means, because it's a visual representation of what you've accomplished. And when you see like a group of 10 guys and one vehicle or cavalry unit or something like that, and you see that you've only gotten like a handful of the models done, you're going to say, wow, this is going to look really good when the rest of the models get painted, and join them on the finish shelf, and it'll kind of motivate you. keep saying you, and it's really like my own personal preference. And that's the thing, is that you just kind of have to play around with how to keep yourself motivated. Another way is to get a model that you really like, have it off to the side. So if, like, you know, you paint for an hour on your army that you're not really having fun at this point, you're not having that much fun painting them, you're just trying to get them done, and then have your model. We went through it on my other channel. I have this thing called a pleasure box. Yeah, pleasure box. And it's basically just a box of models that I have that I wanted to paint just for my own leisure, you know, just fun painting. And we all have models like that. You might have a Forge World model, or for me, I have a lot of Rackham models because I love those sculpts. And it's there as a treat for you. Like, especially if you're just working on stuff and say, cool, I get an hour of this done, and then I get to play on my model for a little bit. And then you work for an hour on that, put it off to the side, and start working on your big army again. And doing it that way is good because you're creating a reward system for yourself. Another way is quit buying stuff. If you're someone who buys more than you paint, like, all you're doing is creating a bunch of work for yourself that is, unless you have it put away somewhere, if you have it stacked up on a wall or under your desk or somewhere that you can look at it very quickly. Like, if you can just like back out your chair, look down and say, wow, you know, I got boxes and boxes of stuff. Like, you need to stop at some point and just say, look, I'm not going to buy another box until I finish this box, and leave it at that. It's I mean, we're all going to find deals somewhere. You might go on eBay and you're like, oh, you know, this price is really good, I have to buy that. That's cool. Put it away somewhere. If it has nothing to do with what you're working on right now, just, you know, out of sight, out of mind. Don't distract yourself. I find a lot of people that tend to watch YouTube videos have attention problems, and it's really hard to focus on a certain thing. That's why I listen to music, just because it helps calm my mind. Like, I'm focusing on what I'm hearing and what I'm looking at, so I'm being stimulated, you know, through sound and what I'm seeing, that I can't really let my mind drift and think about, you know, things I'm not working on at the moment. So it's really good to kind of distract yourself, whether it's audiobooks, music, visuals can mess you up, and that's why I say to hide things, because that's what works for me. Sometimes just seeing the stack of unpainted models there kind of makes you think, you defeat yourself before you even start, because you're looking at it going, man, I don't even want to start that because look at how much I have to paint. But if any progress is still progress. I mean, if you prime them one week and you're like, oh, I'll get to them, and then you base coat a bunch of stuff and you're like, okay, that's enough. Just getting them done a little bit at a time. I mean, it's still progress, even if you just, you know, paint a couple little things. I'm going to paint the eyes or the lenses on these guys and, you know, call it. That's fine. You know, a lot of you guys you're working your butts off all day. You want to come home, you kind of want to relax, and sometimes your own personal armies can feel like jobs, because, you know, you want to get them painted. Hopefully you want to get them painted. I mean, I've never gotten that from you know, going to stores and seeing all the money that people drop on armies and then not painting them. And, you know, the way I look at it is, you bought these models because of what was on the box, what represented the finished model, things like that. You probably didn't look at the box and go, wow, I bet you that would look awesome, completely black primer and never have any color on it. And forget all that basing material. We just want flat base, black plastic, you know, whatever. I really doubt that happens. And that's extreme exaggeration of what I think I hope that people aren't thinking. If that was the case, why not just proxy something rather than buy the expensive models and then not finish them? It baffles me. Some of you guys that play more than you paint can probably bring light to my eyes and say, hey, Les, well, you know, some of us just rather play and we don't really want to paint and stuff. But I refuse to believe that. You pay for those models. It kind of makes you want to paint them. At least, like I said, just put in an effort. Whether it's a base coat primer, like a colored primer, and a dry brush, and then maybe some metallics here and there. Cool. You know, let it represent what your models are. Even if it's a rough version of what your model is. If they're ultramarines or blood angels, you paint them red, throw a wash on them. It's really not that hard. And if you were just doing them that way, you could probably get an army done in one day. It'd be fine. And then you could put decals on it and sharpen things up later. It's really up to you. But I would like to know what you guys do to fight paint burnout. Those are my ideas, is to keep models out of sight. So you actually, only put on your desk what you plan on working for that day or that night, so that you feel accomplished at the end of your session. At least you get to see the work done. Listening to music, distracting yourself in a positive way that'll help you, focus on what you're doing. So like listening to music, audiobooks, things like that. Creating a reward system for you, whether that's models, or what also could be turned into be a reward system is you not buying more stuff until you've finished that squad, and then go out and buy your next thing. Those are the ideas I have. Those are what I know kind of work for me, and really interested to hear how you guys do it, because we all hit it at some point. You paint a lot. It's eventually going to hit you to where you're not having fun. I know the commission painters have a lot of different tricks because you have to force yourself through it. And it might be actually easier for commission painters because there's money involved. It's like, cool, I need to get these done or I don't get paid. That's an easy motivation. But for people that are just at home trying to finish their armies, a lot of these guys can't use that as a motivator because it's just for themselves. But I think that should be a stronger motivation, is to have pride in what you've done. If you guys want, leave a comment and leave your tips on how to paint without getting burnout, or your little tricks that kind of let you go through the long haul of an army, or things like that, or a video response. That's all I really have to say about that subject. I mean, those are my tips, and I'm leaving it up to you guys to share information. That's what it's about, All right, and I will see you guys later.